ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथां सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं
Harijana Sayatam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam
श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता
Vishakam
श्रीविशाखान्
Vitamscha
हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश
Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta
गोपिकास्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी
Gaurange
राधे
Radhe
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
Shri Vrishabhanam
ऋषभानुसुते
Sutadevi Pranana Hari Priye
देवी वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
Vaishnavevo
नमः।
Namo Namah
श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा
Hare
हरे कृष्णा
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्णा
Krishna
हरे
Hare Hare
हरे
Hare
राम
Rama Hare
हरे
Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you for giving your precious time and joining us on this Sunday morning for you and Sunday evening for us. Prabhuji, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, Chapter 5. And Chapter 5, Vidura's talks with Maitreya. And today we are on text 20. So I hand over
Text
to you.
20.
Yeah. So I hand over to you, Prabhuji.
Very
Hare
good.
Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're continuing our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5. Today's text number 20. Mandabhya Shapat Bhagavan Praja Samya Manoyama Ratu Kshetre Bhujishayam Jata Satyabhati Sutat. Would you like to read, say the verse?
Mandavya sapat bhagwan praja samyanano yama bharatau kshetre bhujisyayam jata satyavati sutat.
Anyone else? Mandabhya, the great Rishi Mandabhya Muni.
The great Rishi Mandavya Muni.
Shapat,
Shapat,
by his curse.
by his curse.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
the greatly powerful.
the greatly powerful.
Praja,
Praja,
one who is born.
one who is born.
Samyamana,
Samyamanan,
controller of death.
controller of death.
Yama,
Yama,
known as Yamaraj.
known as Yamaraj.
Ratu,
Bhratu,
of the brother.
of the brother.
Kshetre,
Kshetre,
in the wife.
in the wife.
Bhujishayam,
Bhujishayam,
kept,
kept,
jataha,
jataha,
born,
born,
Satyavati,
Satyavati,
Satyavati, the mother of both Vichitra Virya and Vyasadeva,
Satyavati, the mother of both Vichitra Virya and Vyasadeva,
Sutat,
Sutat,
by their son Vyasadeva.
by the son Vyasadeva.
Would you like to read the translation and purport, please?
Okay. Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I know that you are now Vidura, due to the cursing of Mandavya Muni and the formerly you were King Yamraj, the great controller of living entities after their death. You were begotten by the son of Satyavati, Vyasadev, in the kept wife of his brother. Purport. Mandavya Muni was a great sage. CF Srimad Bhagavatam 1.13.1. And Vidura was formerly the controller Yamaraj, who takes charge of living entities after death. Birth, maintenance, and death are three conditional states of the living entities who are within the material world. As the appointed controller after death, Yamaraja once tried Mandavya Muni for his childhood profligacy and ordered him to be pierced with a lance. Mandavya, being angry at Yamraj for awarding him undue punishment, cursed him to become a Shudra, member of the less intelligent laborer class. Thus, Yamraj took birth in the womb of the kept wife of Vichitravirya, from the semen of Vichitravirya's brother, Vyasdev. Vyasdev is the son of Satyavati by the great king Shantanu, the father of Bhishmadev. The mysterious history of Vidura was known to Maitreya Muni because he happened to be a contemporary friend of Vyasadeva's. In spite of Vidura's birth from a womb of a kept wife, because he had otherwise high parentage and great connection, he inherited the highest talent of becoming a great devotee of the Lord. To take birth in such a great family is understood to be an advantage for attaining devotional life. Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So before we begin, as you may know, Srila Prabhupada's dear disciple Ambarish Prabhu, who was in charge of the Mayapur project, has suffered a severe stroke, and his situation is precarious at the moment. So we offer our good wishes, and we'll say one Hare Krishna mantra for his remembering Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Vidura and Maitreya are continuing to have their discussion. Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya Rishi, and a good part of the reply by Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Pariksit is by reciting this conversation between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. I was listening last week to the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I started again with the Canto 1, and I'm up to the fourth canto. But starting with all of the third canto, which is in 4 parts, it is Maitreya Rishi mostly answering questions about Lord Krishna's connection to this material world, the creation itself, and a lot of details. And Vidura himself asks as I suppose we should expect, he reiterates or repeats the questions that Maharaj Pariksit asked of Shukadev Goswami. So it was a very good answer by Shukadev Goswami to quote this long conversation. And here, and in the previous verse, Maitreya Muni is glorifying Vidura for his interest in Krishna consciousness. His mother was of the Sudra caste, and his father was not, and it was not considered a very high birth. But nevertheless, that all has to do with it's a material body, materials in the soul. Of course, we are beyond all that. Krishna's beyond all that. Who we are, our character does not necessarily depend upon the material situation. So Maitreya Muni is glorifying Vidura. He's obviously very elevated. He's interested in Krishna consciousness. And not that surprising because he was, his father was Vyasadeva, as here described. That I don't remember the exact story, but Vichittavirya requested his brother Vyasadeva to impregnate his wife. So that was done sometimes, long time ago. Of course, nowadays, not many people would appreciate that, I don't think. And because of the mentality of people these days, there's a saying, Atmavan Manyate Jagat, that the tendency for us is to think of things only according to our own experience. People nowadays, some people perhaps could not imagine that someone could be so, I don't know what the word for it is, but not a grossly lustful person, and they could do such a thing in a dutiful way as a responsibility. It wasn't necessarily some sort of abominable, lusty thing. But people nowadays, many people, they can't imagine that. So they can't imagine it. Also, of course, we don't want to get too far into it. I don't want to, but the polygamy, why necessarily it has to be some kind of gross thing that the man is some crazy, lustful person? Maybe, but why necessarily? But people can't imagine that someone like Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna, he had, I think, 11 wives. But it was a responsibility. I mean, the idea was that generally there's more women born than men. And so who is going to look after them? And if there's such a capable man and wealthy, so that they can live comfortably with their children, then why not? But such things can hardly be imagined these days. Neither are they possible, more or less. Srila Prabhupada has indicated, and Srimad Bhagavatam tells us that in the age of Kali, almost everyone is born the character of Sudra. So it's just people to, Srila Prabhupada pointed out, it's hard enough for a man nowadays, most men, many men, just to properly maintain one wife. Just it's a different time. Manda Sumanda Matayo, Manda Bhagya Upadrata, Shukadev, Sutta Goswami says, Srila Vyasadeva says, that in the age of Kali, there's just everyone's abilities are so much reduced compared to what they were hundreds and hundreds of years ago because of the lifestyle, mostly because of sin, because of this currently the sinful lifestyle, and just from an ordinary point of view, just the foods that people eat and the way their daily habits nowadays, the past 100, 200, 300 years, it doesn't lend itself to having a very sharp brain or even good health. It's sad. If one looks at videos, if you look videos of any city, anything from 1970s, 1960s, there are not, there are very few obese people. Everyone is thin, which isn't necessarily a successful thing, but just see in the past 50 years, just the health, the physical health, just really gone down. And then with the legalization of intoxicants, it just people are just so reduced, sad, very sad. Uh, so there, the sattva guna, as we talk about, I mean, forget about spirituality. If someone can simply live a uh, a clean life, sattva guna, good habits of eating and sleeping and mating and working, having some God consciousness, it's so empowering uh, to everyday life, what to speak of our spiritual life. So Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport at the end, in spite of Vidura's birth from the womb of a kept wife, because he had otherwise high parentage and great connection, he inherited the highest talent of becoming a great devotee of the Lord. To take birth in such a great family is understood to be an advantage for attaining devotional life. Vidura was given this chance due to his previous greatness. And here it's mentioned that actually he is Yamaraj, uh, temporarily playing this role in Lord Krishna's pastimes because of being cursed. Uh, so the backstory is this Mandavya Muni, as a child, he pierced an insect with a straw, and Yamaraj cursed, awarded him the punishment of being pierced with a lance. And the Muni thought that was not fair and cursed Yamaraj, that he would take birth as a Sudra in a Sudra family. So these things, they go on. So in the Bhagavad Gita, we remember Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that Srimatam, what is it? Sri, I forget how that goes. That for a little bit of engagement in yoga practice, uh, one takes birth in a human family, and usually in either a wealthy or religious family as a reward for trying to be Krishna consciousness. Uh, so even a little bit of advancement on this path, swapam apyasya, dharmasya, trayate mahato bayat, that one should not fear that if I take to this Krishna consciousness and I fall away, or if I don't complete, then is everything lost? And Lord Krishna says, no, in your next life, you'll pick up again from where you started, and you'll get a higher birth as well. So that's very nice. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the second canto, he says two things are very much needed to be for to attain pure devotion generally. That one must have initiation by an elevated spiritual master, and one must be born in a devotee family, a Vaishnava. That is the highest best. Lord Krishna says that if one engages for a short time in yoga, one will go to the heavenly planets and then take birth in a human form of life. And if one practices for a long time, then one will be given birth in a Vaishnava family. So that right from the beginning, one has an opportunity, and it is an opportunity. It's not a guarantee of anything, but there's an opportunity for one to flourish if one has parents that are devotees of Krishna and have good habits. That is so very good. But again, it isn't a guarantee. Not every soul that takes birth in a Vaishnava family is of equal advancement as others. Uh, so, does anyone have any questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm going to go on to the next text. Any questions about that? All this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. So you mentioned about that verse from the Gita where Lord Krishna says that a failed yogi takes birth in aristocratic or devotee family. So in one, I think, small video snippet of Srila Prabhupada, I heard that somebody asked Srila Prabhupada how long it takes to surrender to Krishna. So it was like he said like 2 minutes or something, like 1 second, like we can immediately fully surrender to Krishna. And then I also heard like it takes from other lectures I have heard like by other devotees, it takes 2-3 lifetimes to surrender to Krishna. Sometimes so like it depends on our sincerity that how many lifetime it takes to surrender to Krishna, or it is possible like immediately. If you could elaborate on that, please.
Well, as you said, depending on our sincerity, if somehow we have the sense that I should really call out to Krishna to lift me up and place me as an atom at his lotus feet, and we really feel not having anything of value in this world except for him, and we give ourselves to Krishna, it's possible. It doesn't happen that often, we see. Depending on our past activity. Just like we see people, some children, they, they can play musical instruments when they're 5 or 6, right? And they're just really good at it. So it's from their previous life. And then some children are really good at math. They're math wizards in school, or language. They learn languages by the time they're 12, right? So it just depends upon our past accumulation of success, progress. There have been a number of devotees I can think of that they practically got first, second, and sannyas initiation at the same time. It's very rare, but so it just depends on our background. And others, other people seem to be interested in Krishna consciousness, but it seems to be such a struggle, and there's just so many obstacles and inner demons, and so it just depends. Srila Prabhupada promised us, all of us, that if we seriously follow the basic instructions of chanting Hare Krishna and following the regular principles, and we dedicate ourselves to assisting Lord Chaitanya's missionary work, we will go back to Godhead at the end of this life. Lord Chaitanya he'll whatever's missing, he'll take care of it. So that is, and there were a few disciples of Srila Prabhupada, very dedicated, and they passed on. And he said they have gone back to Krishna, most likely. So, and then again, you mentioned Srila Prabhupada said maybe once that most of my disciples, 2 or 3 lifetimes to become completely, because generally, before we go back to the spiritual world, the Vaishnava Acharyas indicate that we take birth in Lord Krishna's Leela to get final polishing, just like some of the devotees in Vrindavan, in Vraja. That's what they were finishing, the final touches of their devotion, or in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya, or another incarnation of Krishna. So that's one birth. And then perhaps another to make further progress. So, but we hear Srila Prabhupada always encouraging us, finish your business in this lifetime. Finish up, close up shop. He said, finish your business. I was reading today, if you go to that website, the database.io, which has all of Srila Prabhupada's books, you can do a search. You can put in a phrase or a word, and it will bring up all the references, which is a nice way to study or to go deep into a particular topic. So I was looking up spiritual world earlier today, and so I ran across this July of 1966 in New York. So very beginning. So in one lecture, so Srila Prabhupada says, really nice. He's talking about disciples asking, or devotees asking about the spiritual body. So if it's all right, I'll read this. It's always nice. Certainly hearing Srila Prabhupada's better than hearing me. So what is it? So Srila Prabhupada says, as in the matter there is an atom, similarly spirit there is an atom. Simply. Now both of these, beginning from the supreme down to the atom, they are expansions of different energies of Krishna, either the material or the spiritual atom. Now we are spiritual atom. We living entities, we are spiritual atoms, and by material atomic combination, we have developed this body, although this material body is foreign to me. Similarly, we can develop our spiritual body also in the spiritual world. Is it clear? Just like in the material world, in combination with matter, we have developed this material body. Do you believe in this? That I am spiritual atom, and I have developed this material body on the basis of spiritual atom. It is a fact. Just like in the mother's womb, when the spiritual atom takes place, then it grows. It forms the material body. Without that spiritual atom, there cannot be any growth of the body. Simply sex intercourse does not give guarantee of pregnancy. Unless that spiritual atom is there, the body does not grow. This is the information from authoritative Shastra. So the whole material world has also grown up upon the spiritual existence. And our whole problem is that instead of having this material body, we have to get our spiritual body. That is Krishna consciousness. That is the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Chaktva dehan punarjanma naiti mameti. Now, one who goes to Krishna, do you mean to say one who goes to Krishna vacant? No. He goes to Krishna with a body. Just like Krishna has got a body, so you also go before him. Just like you come to me with a body, I go to you with a body. You are a spiritual atom. I am also spiritual atom. Now I have developed this body. You have developed that body. Our meeting is between these two bodies. Similarly, when you go to Krishna, Madham, or Krishna's Dham, his abode, we go there with a spiritual body. Devotee, does the spiritual world contain spatial relationships? And Prabhupada, huh? Devotee, are things bounded by space in the spiritual world? In other words, is there spatial? And Prabhupada, yes, yes. It is only spiritual. As you have got a material space, similarly, there is spiritual space. As you have a material body, similarly, you have got a spiritual body. Devotee, what is the difference between the spiritual body and spiritual atoms? Prabhupada, yes. Matter is not eternal and spirit is eternal. Matter is full of ignorance and spirit is full of knowledge. Matter is full of unpleasantness and spirit is full of pleasure. Satchid Ananda. That is the difference between matter and spirit. The devotee asks again, and what is the difference between the spiritual atom and the spiritual body, or are they the same thing? Prabhupada, no. Spiritual atom, just like from the spiritual body you have developed the material, similarly from the spiritual atom you can develop your spiritual body. Chaktva deham. Chaktva deham means that giving up this material body, he develops the spiritual body and then goes to the kingdom of God or Krishna. Chaktva deham punor janma naiti mameti. So when he goes to Krishna, he goes in a spiritual body. So there is this potency of every living being. Just like he has got the potency of developing the material body, similarly, the potency of developing the spiritual. Is it difficult to understand? Is it clear? So then Srila Prabhupada goes on to say, so our problem is that we are suffering all kinds of miseries on account of this material body. Now, our business should be that we shall be cultured in Krishna consciousness so that in next life will be my spiritual body. Then the solution of all problems solved. And so long we shall get the material body repeatedly, just like we give up this dress and take another dress, similarly we shall continue the four kinds of misery, janma, mrityu, vyadi, jara vyadi. These four kinds of miseries, birth, death, old age, and disease we have to suffer. And as soon as you get your spiritual body, all these miseries are over. Because your body is no more subjected to birth, death, disease, and old age. That life is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, and you can get it simply by studying the nature of Krishna, the transcendental nature of Krishna. I'll repeat that. That you can get simply by studying the nature of Krishna. So we are hankering after so many things. We are taking the leadership of this leader, that leader, just to get relief from temporary misery. Our duty should be just to get rid of all miseries by developing the spiritual body. That should be the aim of life. And that is possible by Krishna consciousness. So I thought that was such a nice, powerful summary, especially the last two paragraphs. As soon as you get the spiritual body, all the miseries are over because your body is no more subjected to birth, death, old age, and disease. Our duty should be just to get rid of all miseries by developing the spiritual body. So this is, isn't it? This is Lord Krishna's message of Bhagavad Gita, that he comes to, out of love, Krishna comes to stop our suffering. And we are suffering in so many ways, constantly, every day. It may be something small, it may be something big. And the biggest thing, which many people do not know, is that we have to suffer like this repeatedly. It's one thing to go through one life with civil unrest and civil wars and struggling to pay the bills and dealing with problematic human relationships and miseries of our own body. And then you have to do it again and again. So Lord Krishna gives his Bhagavad Gita that you're suffering, you're praying to me, you're going to the church, you're going to the mosque, you're going to the mandir. Oh, Bhagavan, please help me. I'm suffering. I don't have enough money. I'm sick. May my children pass the college exam. This. We're praying. And Krishna's looking at us that please understand that these aren't the real problems. The problems that you're having to repeat them. And not only you, all of your relatives, everyone around you, again and again and again. So this, we hear about fruit of activity. In the fifth canto, that Lord Rishabhadev, he's instructing his sons, 100 sons. And in that narration, there's certain narrations in Srimad Bhagavatam that have like a summary of the whole philosophy right there. So that's one of them. Also Prahlad Maharaj, his prayers. And King Prachini Barhi in the fourth canto. There's sections where all the major points are covered. So Lord Rishabhadev was instructing his sons that somehow we humans need to break free from this tendency for fruitive activity. Now, fruitive activity, working to enjoy the fruits, but perhaps more specifically, fruitive activity to stop our suffering. That if I'm walking and I'm carrying a heavy bag in my hand, we go shopping and we have a heavy bag of goods. So it becomes heavy. So then we take it and we put it and we carry it in the other hand, and then it begins to hurt. And then we move it and we carry it also. So there's no real end of the suffering. It's just moving it from side to side. And, isn't it that a lot of the things that we do every day, every week, every month, is to stop suffering. Our stomach is growling, hungry. We want to stop the suffering of ourselves or our family and get some food. We need a place to have shelter from the rain and the storms and the sun so we don't suffer. A lot of what we do is to not suffer. I mean, some things we do just to have fun, right? We play cricket or something, or video game, something. But even then, sometimes we do that because we're in anxiety and we just want something to take our mind away from our problems, and we watch a movie, television, play some games so we can stop the mental suffering, right? So, and understandably, there is suffering. So Lord Rishabhadev and Lord Krishna, they're making the point that we should try at the same time that we try and be comfortable, and there's nothing terribly wrong with that, but we should not, we should be aware that I need to fix this permanently. I need to fix this permanently. I want to make a permanent solution. I don't want to just move the shopping bag to another hand, or I want to find the right doctor that can give me the right regimen to cure my illness, or I can find the solution to some challenging situation for myself or for others, but I want to fix it permanently for myself and others. So we don't have to do this again. It's bad enough we have to do it one time. I mean, we've done it many times before, and we have this habit. It's in our mind that we've been struggling to fix things for many births. In animal bodies, we also try and fix things, don't we? So we're just constantly trying to fix, keep the job and keep the car working and keep the rent payments going, this, and this, and this. That's what we do. So it's a habit that I will be happy if I can fix things. If I could just fix everything, if I get enough salary to pay my bills and exercise so I can get my health and go on vacation a couple times a year, it will be all good. It's our tendency to think like that. I think like that. It's just so we have the association of the advanced uh, devotees of Krishna to remind us and instruct us, to guide us, that don't just focus on that. Tapo divyam puchkajena sattvam brahma sokyam tanantam. That this human form of life is meant for maybe not having as comfortable a life as we may like, but using that time to make the permanent solution. Like Srila Prabhupada said that after 6 p.m., all business should be done. You take bath, you have some kirtan, some bhajan, you read. So we could work, right? I mean, some people work, until 6 p.m., 8 p.m. Some, really passionate people are working until 10 at night, 9 at night, sometimes 2 jobs. That's really hard. So that we can be comfortable, more comfortable. Then instead of having a 3-bedroom flat, I'll have a 4-bedroom flat. And instead of having this car, I'll drive in that car. But to have it, you have to work those extra hours. Or even if you do work the extra hours, it won't necessarily bring you that. And then we're not using the time to make the permanent solution, right? So that's a big loss. I mean, just like health, or you just take a simple thing, like I do work with computers all day, and the eye doctor advised me that every 2 hours you should take time, close your eyes, rest your eyes. Oh, but I can't get my work done. I have to stop and rest my eye. No, you're going to lose your eyes if you don't stop. Or sometimes we're thinking, I don't have time to exercise. But if you don't exercise, in the future, you'll suffer more. So, so that is our Krishna conscious life. We're living, but we're living in such a way that we can get as much of both as possible, that we can be reasonably comfortable and fix our suffering permanently. So that's intelligent. Maybe I won't have a 4-bedroom flat. Maybe I won't have that particular car. But at least I'll go back to the spiritual world and never have to suffer again. I mean, that's a pretty good trade, isn't it? I mean, a lot of that is just in the mind anyway. I mean, this car, that car, this seat may be a little bit more comfortable, but basically it's the same car. So this is sharp intelligence. Srila Prabhupada encourages us, be a little sharp-brained to see the value. You spend so much time to drink milk out of a gold cup. Well, what's the difference? You drink it out of a ceramic cup or you drink it out of a gold, it's just milk. It's the same taste. And what are you going to do to get the gold cup or get the Mercedes S500 for 120,000 pounds? Wow. You could buy a couple of houses for 120,000 pounds. So, isn't it Jesus, right? He said, how does it, what's that proverb? That don't, about not losing your soul?
I think
That I don't know, but the purport is that don't be so focused upon the materialistic side that you lose your soul. That's not very intelligent. We should be embarrassed if we do that. So Srila Prabhupada says our duty should be just to get rid of all miseries by developing that spiritual body. Practice tolerating, not trying to make everything completely comfortable at the expense of our spiritual consciousness. And that's why it's said that the Brahmins, it's said in the Krishna book, the Brahmins voluntarily accept a simple life as an austerity. And it is austere, or maybe a little less comfortable, but for the higher value. And we can hear sometimes atheistic people say, oh, you Hare Krishna, you religious people, you're living for the future. You're giving up so much. No, I mean, that's your miss. Maybe some people do, but not us. There's spiritual happiness now, and there's more peace of mind now. And that's a very valuable thing. So it's not just for the future. And even if the spiritual world were a myth, the life of a devotee in terms of their peace of mind and inner happiness is, I mean, as far as I know, much, much greater than the materialists who are simply in the bodily consciousness, so always in anxiety, having to drink and take drugs and do so many things just to forget the suffering. That's just like an animal's kind of life, really. So any discussion or comments about what we've talked about?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, taking you back to the spiritual body and the material body. So when will it be revealed to us what our spiritual body looks like? Because we will have a spiritual
Yeah,
body.
yeah, it would be nice to see. Actually, there's very short and specific instruction in the Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, which I have not taken advantage of as yet. But the essence of it is that to the extent that we can fully meditate on Krishna constantly for a good amount of time, and by ultimately it's by Krishna's mercy, it is entirely possible. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about realizing his spiritual form in some of his songs. So it's there. Most likely when we are retired from busy daily life and we can fully do bhajan, then there'll be opportunity. But if you go to the nectar of instruction. I forget which verse it is, one of the later verses. It describes the process of increasing meditation on Krishna, beginning with occasionally we recollect, and then constant meditation, and then very focused meditation, and then samadhi. And at that point, our Siddha Swarup becomes revealed. So it's waiting for us.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Is there any other question or comment from the group?
I have one more question, Prabhuji. If no one has,
Yeah.
then I'll. If other people have, maybe they can go first.
Go
What's
ahead,
that?
Kush Prabhu. Go
Okay.
ahead, Kush Prabhu.
Okay. So you talked about that verse which said like if a failed yogi takes birth in the family of Brahmins or in a wealthy family or in an aristocratic family. But sometimes we see that devotees are born in families and to parents who are against, very much against Krishna conscious. And then I've seen like children in devotee families and they are not at all interested in Krishna consciousness and sometimes maybe even averse to it. So how do we understand it?
It's Krishna's plan. Lord Chaitanya, destiny of the living entity. Uh, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and the Chaitanya Bhagavat, also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, is described that by the will of Lord Chaitanya, some of his devoted followers were born in odd families, odd places, because he had a plan that they would awaken and take part in his missionary work. Also, Lord Krishna's pastimes is described that many of the followers of Kamsa were devotees. They were demigods. But Krishna deliberately put them there for a higher purpose. Srila Prabhupada said that some of his disciples were born in the Western countries to help him in his mission as Christians. Some they had to be there. Srila Prabhupada went to New York, and Lord Chaitanya wants everyone to have the opportunity. So there had to be some devotees in America. There's practically no Vedic Vaishnava families there, especially at that time. So, and then Srila Prabhupada uses the word opportunity, that to be born in a devotee family is an opportunity. So, like we discussed, it depends upon the background of the soul, that they may deserve to have the opportunity, but they may not be that progressed compared to someone else who gets born into a devotee family. Does that make sense? They
Yes.
have enough past bhakti that, okay, we'll give you a good start with this devotee couple. But your background is not as deep as someone else who might take more advantage of it. There's like you said, there's devotees who are born in devotee family and they take up sadhana bhakti and they become initiated. They're pretty regulated, devoted devotees. And then there are others who, they go away. They marry some non-devotee. That's just the way it is. There's nothing automatic, or we shouldn't misunderstand this, that everyone born in a devotee family is a pure devotee. We'll be very, very disappointed by that. That's a misunderstanding. It's an opportunity. Even parents may do more or less the best they can, and it just may not be the child's destiny. Or like you said, I'm not that advanced, I know, and there are relatives who would say there'll be no talk of God in this house when I grew up. But somehow in my early teenage years, I must have had some kind of background because I had this conviction that the Vedas contained the highest truth. And I was a little interested in ashram life, but I wasn't really religious. So, obviously I had some background, but not as much as someone else. Is that all right?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. On the same note, it seems very contradictory that you are given the birth into a rich family, so that you don't concentrate on getting your day-to-day work done, but you concentrate on God. But on the contrary, the more richer you are, you go into more sense enjoyment and you lose the
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah.
So it's an opportunity. Look at our Ambarish that we just spoke about. So he's
Mm.
tremendously wealthy family, and obviously he had some background, and he took full advantage.
Mm.
And there are others who have done like that. Yeah, it is. It is less of an opportunity, perhaps. I mean, I wish I was born into like a family like Srila Prabhupada was born into. Every day your mother's taking you in the baby carriage to see Radha Govinda, all of that, very wonderful. Yeah. Showing how to do RT. So we'll get that. We're going to have that. We're going to have that. It's waiting for us. Yeah, better start.
Thank you.
So I just one thing I wanted to mention that of course, you mentioned about seeing our spiritual body. It just the part of this Krishna consciousness is of course training our mind to focus more on the permanent and not the immediate, to value that and to practice our spirituality, our spiritual nature. We may not see our spiritual body, but we can certainly have experience of eternity, the eternal nature of ourself, and all of it, the Satchitananda. But as Lord Rishabhadev explained, by tapasya, it'll be a little difficult to get deep realization of our spiritual identity, constantly fulfilling every desire that our mind and body has. Like every itch, we scratch it. So I mean, that's we're like dancing to our body. Our body is saying, do this, do this, do this, do this, and we're, yes, I'll do it. So that austerity is just practicing to put some distance that I will scratch in a little while. I'm not joking. I mean, if we get a mosquito bite or something, it's a very simple way. We don't have to go and buy beds with nails and lay on them. I'm going to practice tapasya. No, but even something simple like that I'm going to practice being in charge of my body and my mind. Not to the point that our mind is disturbed, but a little, as they say, no pain, no gain. And seriously, this is the little advanced progress. I know myself, it's something I'm still practicing. And it is something Srila Prabhupada said that can be learned, like anything else. Srila Prabhupada mentions that it's generally very difficult for a rich man's daughter or son, or a prince, to practice austerity because they're so used to a cushy life. They have soft beds and soft clothes and shoes. They're just not used to going and getting 3 buckets of water 2 miles down the road and carrying it in the sun, and right, working, suffering, right? There's so many people who physically suffer much more than others, and they get used to it to some extent. So that's the point. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said at one point that the Russian devotees will be some of our strongest devotees because they're used to austerity. They're not so spoiled. So, like that, in that direction, pushing ourselves, to not be so comfortable all the time, deliberately. And then we'll get more realization. Wow, I really am different than this. I began giving also class for online for devotees in America, Hartford, recently. So I can't remember whether with there or with us. But Srila Prabhupada said to some devotees on this point that just like this Russian dictator, and he was a very hard, cruel person, Stalin. By his direction, tens of millions of people were killed. It was very cruel. But Srila Prabhupada said he had a stomach operation without anesthesia, and he was reading the newspaper. So he said, we need to be a little bit more like that not so bothered by things. Even when I was studying astrology, I was reading the person I was learning from was giving examples of horoscopes. So there was one, and he mentioned that the person, he lived in India, but he was getting some kind of operation on his toe, and he was also just reading the newspaper. So by practice, just letting the suffering of the mind and the body just be, and focusing on Krishna. And obviously, this will so much help us at the time of death, won't it? I think like that, especially now in my older years. If it'll be so much easier instead of waiting until whenever to practice, being able to put our mind on Krishna, off of the body, off of the mind. And of course, that will greatly empower our everyday life, very much. Anyone who does this, even a little bit, you develop the ability to be patient. Because part of austerity means being patient, that this suffering, all right, it's there, this headache, this, whatever it is, but it will go. It will go away. So I just be patient. So we develop patience and the tolerance. And also, we're not just like Stalin. We're not just some hard-hearted, hard-minded person, but we're doing this in awareness of our being a spiritual soul So then we're becoming more fixed in that realization, understanding. So it can so much help our entire life, putting up with stuff. Like Srila Prabhupada, there are in the morning he advised you take a cold shower in the morning. So it's not always so pleasant, the water hitting the skin. But imagine if we can tolerate 8-10 minutes of some water hitting our skin. I mean, it's really not that much, just water hitting the skin. Just take the mind off of the body. But it's a nice opportunity, in the morning, start the day, just, I mean, I'm not always so good at that in the middle of the winter, but that is the encouragement. Even Srila Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita that a religious man does not hesitate to take bath even in the month of Magh, in January, when it's very cold. And we're just a little tougher minded, a little not so and just little things, Oh, I want to eat a biscuit. Okay, tomorrow, or in a couple of hours, or whatever. Just you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do. Like that. And praying to Krishna that may I have such strength. Very good. Very good to do. And if we can tolerate, the thing is, if we can tolerate one kind of thing, then it's applicable to everything, right? If we can tolerate one kind of itch or whatever, other things. And then if we indulge one thing, it becomes more difficult to resist the other ones. It's like, what do you call it? It's like a weather pattern that we're living in, and if you break the weather pattern, that's why following the regular principles, because if we break one, whether we understand it or not, it has an effect upon our willpower, and then something else, and it's a little bit more difficult. And then if we don't succeed in that, then it becomes even more, and it becomes messy. So better not to break to begin with, or to get right back on track as soon as possible. They're called Brahma Tejas, Brahminical power. So anything else? All glories to Srila Prabhupada. What is that?
I said we've exhausted our time, and we've even overrun by 9 minutes. So I think we can leave the other questions or comments for next time. Can I request Eastern Prabhu, Hare Krishna, are you able to end the session for today? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the wonderful discourse this evening. At least you reminded us that this world is a place of misery and it's just temporary, and we should try as much as possible and help ourselves to get out of these miseries by attaining the spiritual body, which can only be attained by focusing on Krishna and on our spiritual side. Also, we should also learn to study the nature of Krishna, which I didn't understand that part quite well, but hopefully next time I will ask it and get some knowledge on it and some insight. With that, I will request each and every one of us to unmute and chant a round of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the glorification of His grace, Dina Sharana Das Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Gija.
jai. His Grace Dina Sharana Prabhu ki
Jai.
jai.
Thank you so much for having me in your Sunday. And we go for another week in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, Lord Krishna. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Be well.
Prabhuji, is it possible to put Srila Prabhupada's what you read about the spiritual and the material both
Yeah,
on the page?
it's July 25, 1966. Yeah, it's a lecture on Bhagavad Gita.
All right then. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Guru.
Hare Bol.